Okay. Hello. Hi, everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. Have a really nice setup today. And yeah, I'm really excited about this stream today because I have a lot of stuff planned for these next 3 hours. Okay. I mean, I don't know if we're gonna go for the entire 3 hours. We might just end up going for shorter if things flow really fast. But my goal is to cover a pretty broad expanse of topics, and I really want to just present a lot of beautiful music from Asian cultures. Okay. So yeah. So first of all, welcome guys. How are you guys all doing today? How's everyone doing today? And also, can you guys hear my voice? Things sound okay, right? Yeah, welcome people who are watching for the first time. And also the usual loyal crowd. So thank you guys for tuning in for today's, yeah, okay. Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in to today's Stop Asian Hate stream. We're gonna have panel performances. We're gonna have like a big discussion about this whole racism thing, okay? Because it is something that is worthy of discussing, I think, for everyone. And then we'll listen to some great Asian classical music together, okay? Okay, so all right, so let's officially begin. It's now 12:01 p.m. So officially starting. We had some issue with like the daylight savings time. That totally threw me for a loop. That was an amateur mistake. But anyways, so as you guys know, I'm pretty westernized, right? I came to the United States when I was 5, and so I basically grew up studying English, European history, Western literature and science and all that. So today's stream, I really wanted to explore Asian music, culture and history, because of course it's something that's huge. It's a huge topic and it's too expansive to be covered in just one stream. But the whole idea behind this Stop Asian Hate stream is that we can fight racism through increased understanding and appreciation. Because like something I found growing up in Western schools, right, going to high school, middle school in the United States, is that there's not a lot of attention paid to like the normal lives of historical Asian civilizations. Like instead you get like all these famous emperors and all these dynasties and these wars that you just don't really care about in the end. It's just all numbers to you. So that's not the right way of learning about the history or about the culture. Instead, I think a much better way of learning about the culture and the history, okay, is through music, because music typically represents like the common people's stories, their emotions, their lives, their hopes and dreams. And so the music over time, whether it's Asian culture or European culture, they all evolved kind of similarly, but with, of course, much different music theory and instruments, but then the underlying emotions, the basics of their music is pretty similar, okay? So I think by exploring those connections, we can find common ground between the Asian music and the Western classical music that we all know and love, okay? Okay, so some people in chat are saying that it's pretty laggy. Is it laggy for you guys? Is it a laggy experience, like quality-wise? Okay. Cool. All right, so I always get worried about technical issues because, people who watch this stream know that my technical issues are legendary. So today I'm going to perform a bunch of pieces, okay? First, I'm going to give you guys the story and the background behind them, and just we're going to attempt to weave a larger narrative of how these Asian cultures are both similar and also different to Western music, okay? But also because it's me playing, there's going to be a lot of like epic arpeggios and a lot of intense emotions, okay? So we're just gonna have fun with it, really. And then for the second hour, I will be doing like a Q&A. So we'll do a Q&A with everyone, and then we will, we'll just talk about this whole racism thing, about Stop Asian Hate together, and see what we can share and exchange with each other. Okay. Okay, so. Yeah, because, I know that not everybody is on board with, like, the Stop Asian Hate Racism thing. Just like not everyone is on board with Black Lives Matter or any of those other, like, specifically targeted to one race, right? Racism in all forms is bad. Okay, so we know that for sure. But the reason why we wanted to focus on Stop Asian Hate is because Asians typically don't get that much attention in the Western media. Because, for whatever reason, Asians just don't speak out as much, right? We're just not as vocal about our issues, about our problems. And that kind of leads to a lot of bullying, actually, because, like, if you can't speak very well and then you don't really participate in the community, then people kind of just treat you like you're secondary, so obviously racism cannot be, you can't just tell someone stop being racist, right? It's something that's kind of like part of our DNA in some ways, one of the worser parts of our DNA about how humans evolved. But I think with enough education and understanding, we can combat that. And I do know that, like, the vast majority of my audience is actually Caucasian, but I do have a lot of Asians as well. So in the fan base. So, but we still have to, communicate. Okay, I'm talking a lot. We are collecting donations today because the thing about racism is that racism against Asians primarily affects the most vulnerable Asians. Okay, it affects the elderly and immigrants, two groups of people who cannot speak English very well. And I would also argue, like, women too, because typically, like, the bullies like to pick on people who cannot defend themselves, right? So, elderly women, elderly immigrants and women are the people that are primarily targeted. And so the goal is to collect the donations for the charity Asian Americans for Equality, which helps to educate these more vulnerable Asians and give them sustainable housing and help them become contributing and connected members of society. So I think this is a really worthwhile goal. Okay, so if you want to donate, you can actually just go to the about page. Like, there's a bunch of links there, and basically you tip me, but I'm gonna be donating the tips. So don't like feel like it's like a sketchy, like, oh, I'm just trying to collect some tips. If you donate through that process, okay? So yeah, and I just want to make sure that everything works. So if someone can just donate like $1 or something to test it out, to make sure like the updates are running, that will be highly appreciated. Yeah, I know. Oh, okay. Thanks, Pyro. Thank you, Pyro. What a pog. Everyone give a pog for Pyro. great. Everything's updating properly. We have a bunch of 69s on the on the screen now. That is a huge pog. And so okay, so I think we're ready to begin. And so okay. So thank you guys. Thank you guys in advance for any donations. I think this is a worthwhile cause. As I told people on my community post, I'm myself donating $500 to this cause, on top of the donations collected today. Okay, so and then we're gonna, at the end, after the discussions and everything, we're gonna listen to a bunch of classical music, Asian classical music together, and listen to how they connect to Western classical music and stuff. Okay, so who is ready to get started? Let's get some cheers, some claps in the chat, and then we're gonna start off with me at the piano. Okay. Have to hydrate. Okay. So to begin, the first piece I'm going to play is called Ode to the Yellow River. So for those of you guys who don't know, the Yellow River it's like a huge river in China, and it's basically the birthplace of ancient Chinese civilizations. Okay, and it's geography and stuff has huge historical significance to how the Chinese civilization evolved. And so it was believed that the Yellow River flew from heaven, okay, in ancient times. And so the whole piece itself is kind of like a river. It's like it speeds up and slows down like the way a river flows through time, okay? So Okay. Hopefully you guys like that. That was a very traditional, well, Chinese music from, well, it's from 1950s actually, but it's about the Yellow River and the significance of it in Chinese culture. A lot of pentatonic scales in that for sure. It's also have this really grand gesture. At the end, there's like this heroic charge. Actually, it's kind of like the modern communist kind of thing, where they play they actually like in the orchestral version, the trombones play part of the Chinese national anthem. So it is a very Chinese song. And actually that's actually my dad's favorite piece. So Dad, if you're watching, that performance was for you. Okay, so our next song is, or our next piece rather, is I wanted to jump to Japan and play a darker melody. Okay, so while the Ode to the Yellow River utilized the major pentatonic scale, the next Japanese song is based on the Aeolian minor pentatonic scale, which is the Hirajoshi scale. Okay, so it's called Sakura, which means cherry blossoms in Japanese. Okay. And so Sakura is really connected to Japan's history and their culture, as they only bloom once a year. And for about a week after they bloom, the flowers like kind of flutter to the ground, so you have like those scenes from like Studio Ghibli films and from Japanese films where like you always see like the pink petals floating to the ground, right? So that's cherry blossoms in Japanese culture, and it's once a year for just 1 week. And so basically in Japan, it symbolizes the temporariness of life, the impermanence and the hope and renewal of human life. Okay. 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 So that was pretty short, I know, but but it was a very, it's a very unique style actually. That showcases like the Japanese kind of music theory, right? The scales that they use. So just curious, who wants to hear me play like an epic version of that? Like a Lionel version of that melody. Okay. Just so you guys know, this is not the original melody. This is my adjustment to it. Okay, so it's very sacrilegious if you're Japanese, but now we will hear the epic version. Okay, you guys, seems like people are on board. Okay. I don't know how that was actually. Because I just did my usual. I think I made it a little bit too bright at some points because it was a very dark melody. But anyways, hope you guys like that. Next time I will go for like a more, I don't know. We had to come up with like a more thematic approach next time. Okay. Okay, cool. So thank you guys for the support on that. Okay, so you guys heard the metronome. Okay, so the next piece I will play is going back to China. So we have a lot of Chinese because I'm Chinese, a lot of Chinese music today. This one is called Guangdong Children. It's based on the southern province of China near Hong Kong. And this piece actually uses a lot of suspended seventh chords. So what Guangdong Children means is now playing, hold on a second, now playing, it means Cantonese child, actually. Cantonese being the term that you refer to Chinese people from the southern part of China. Okay? And it's basically like about a bunch of small children playing around and having fun. Okay? You're gonna hear a lot of suspended seventh chords in here and a pentatonic scale, of course, which creates like this interesting neutral effect where you have like something in between brightness and darkness, kind of like a dance. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that was a nice Chinese song that I find is very idiosyncratic. It has a lot of flavor, you know. It's got All right, I forgot about 手花飘飘. That's actually an oversight. That's a huge oversight. Anyways, that piece is like a traditional, kind of dance of the children playing. And so the characteristic of that is like it uses the pentatonic scale, right? And then it also uses a lot of these suspended chords, right? So suspended chords are obviously they have a neutral taste, a neutral color. Okay. And so yeah, I think it's a really cool piece. Okay, so the fourth piece I'm gonna play now is we're gonna go to the Philippines. Okay, and this piece is called Damdamin. Okay, and it means feelings or sensibility. So that's, I don't know how to quite pronounce Damdamin correctly. Also, it's Tagalog, which is the Filipino language. So Rizal helped me find this piece, okay? And so he noted that, like, in the Philippine traditional music, there's actually a lot of Spanish influence, okay? As throughout its history, Philippines was a Spanish colony for quite a bit. So you will definitely hear some Spanish influences in this piece. And actually, it's kind of like, I actually think it's kind of like has like that old Hollywood vibe. So I will actually write this. Oh, actually, I should paste this description into the chat. Okay, so now playing Damdamin by, oh gosh, do I not have the composer here? Hold on a second. All right, Rizal can provide the composer name. So okay, so here we go. Okay. What did you guys think of that? That was very romantic, actually. It's a very romantic piece. And as I wrote about the, as I noted about the composer, it's he was known for composing operettas and kundamans, which are love songs. I'm not saying that word correctly, but he died like over 70 years ago. But yeah, that has like a very nostalgic feeling to me. Yeah, someone said like, soothing. And I do see how it influences Rizal's writing. So, okay, cool. So, the next piece that we have, by the way, just to remind you guys, we are collecting donations today. So if you want to donate, you can go to the donation button down in the about page section. So if you just scroll down, you should see the donation buttons on the screen. Okay. Just to have to promote the fundraiser. Otherwise you guys don't know how to do it. So there's a bunch of images that all say donate to stop Asian hate, and they all link to the same page. Okay. Actually, let me just show you guys real quick. Here it is. You can click on any one of these, and it will take you to this page, which you can donate. Minimum is $1. Okay. So I have to make sure that I communicate this message, because apparently on fundraisers and stuff, you do have to communicate this. Okay, I don't know why I shouldn't be getting any follower alerts. So, okay. And then let me just increase this button a little bit. Okay. All right, back to the piano. Okay, cool. So for the fifth piece, we have this really famous Chinese piece called Mo Li Hua, okay, which it basically means Jasmine Flower, okay, and hold on a second. Now playing Mo Li Hua, Jasmine Flower. Actually, yeah. Yeah, and so it's Jasmine flower is a very traditional flower in China, right? And so, I mean, you'll notice a lot of these nature elements in these traditional pieces, actually, with Sakura, the cherry blossoms, and then with Mo Li Hua, with the jasmine flower in China. So I think, the beauty of nature is a constant source of inspiration in the music that evolved over time in these Asian cultures, okay? So this uses the pentatonic scale, of course, and it's one of the most popular melodies in China. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and start that. Okay, so that was 茉莉花 or Jasmine Flower. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. It's a very famous song, and I've heard it even many times. Yeah, and the lyrics do go, as Pyro just wrote, 好一朵美丽的茉莉花, which is Chinese. Maybe I should just speak some Chinese. Okay, cool. So that was the 5th song that we did, and it's also a very, famous traditional Chinese song. So the next one we're gonna do is called Arirang, which is a Korean folk song. Okay, and this is considered to be now playing. So we're trying to jump around to a bunch of different cultures. We've already hit the Chinese culture, Japanese, and Filipino, and now we have Korean. We can consider both North Korean and South Korean as this is a very traditional Korean song. Okay, let's start. Okay. So that was the Korean piece Arirang. I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. I'm sure that I will get criticized by some Koreans later for saying that incorrectly. So who wants to hear an epic version of that? Since that was so short, and I feel like we should present the epic version of that melody. Wow, I'm actually going a little bit slower than I expected, but that's okay. All right. It might be sacrilege. Should we just move on to the next piece? Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me change my battery pack. Um, okay, so camera malfunction, whatever. Okay, so we're gonna do the epic version of Arirang. Okay, let's go ahead and start. Okay, cool. I hope I didn't make that too sacrilegious. I think that was moderately not too sacrilegious. You know. Okay. Cool. I think we can move on. This next melody is called yeah, a lot of people have performed Arirang over the years. It's a very, very famous song. Okay, so the next piece. Oh, by the way, thank you, Crisscross, for the donation of $6.66. Yeah. The whole idea of the epic variations is just to expand a little bit the melody, so that you guys get a more taste of it as opposed to it being so short. Okay, so this next piece is called Good Night Li Yue, and it's actually from the game, I think it's Genshin Impact. Maybe Winston can give a little bit more details about this song, Goodnight Lyria. So I'm gonna actually paste in this description by Winston. So this is a transcription from Winston. So thank you. It's originally for the piano or the orchestra, but then of course, this is a transcription, so we just have a piano solo. And so this one is a simple but touching melody that is that has like this airy and floating kind of feeling. Okay, so if you play Genshin Impact, you will know that this is about the world of Lyria. I haven't played myself, but I feel like this is it's Asian enough. It counts. Okay, it counts as Asian. All right, let's go. Okay, so that's I think I definitely missed some notes in there, but but that was, that has like this very peaceful feeling, right? This sixth chord here is really beautiful, that suspended nature of it, and so that keeps it like this very melodic but bright tone the entire time, this very floating texture. So that was really nice. Thank you, Winston. Okay, so originally I planned on doing some Asian scales and improvisation, but I think we're gonna skip that because we're already running past time, and I want to get to the Q&A, the discussion about this whole Asian racism thing. So we're just gonna do the last piece, which is 5 levels of 春节序曲. Okay, which as you guys know is my arrangement of the Chinese festival, Spring Festival, Overture piece. Okay, so this is a very famous piece because it's always played in China during like the Spring Festival, which is the New Year's celebrations that happens every year. And so it's very it's very energetic, it's very cheerful. And I did a 5 levels of it. So basically my arrangement will start from the really simplest to the basically most complex, or like my own dark variation actually of this whole piece. So I mean, you guys know the drill at this point. Okay, so let's begin. Okay. So that was 5 levels of 春节序曲, which is the Spring Festival Overture. Okay, so of course I posted it on my YouTube like 2 months ago, but then I took it down because it was a little bit I don't know, I felt like my arrangement was a little bit too overboard. I don't know. Anyways, let's go ahead and start the second section, okay? So hopefully you guys are ready for the second part of our discussion. Okay. Yeah, I was going to do another piece, the elegy for the victims of the earthquake and tsunami by a Japanese composer, a Japanese pianist actually. But actually you guys can see here, this is my entire stream. It's like 11 pages long, my entire stream plan of today. Okay, so hold on a second, that thing is still showing up. It should not show the, you know, it should not show the follow, because I only want the donations to show up as the notification. So apologies, let me just fix that real quick. Okay, just to remind you guys all that, you know, if you want to donate, you can do so by going down to the you know, going down here, okay, you know, and then you can click on any of these links to take you to the donations link down here, which will take you here, you know, and then you can contribute to the cause, okay, if you want to. Donations link down here, which will take you here, and then you can contribute to the cause, okay, if you want to. Yeah, I think that's a good end to section 1. Who's ready for the second section? Yeah, I think that's a good end to section 1. Who's ready for the second section? Okay, sorry, I'm gonna have to close that. Was there like a audio issue? Is there? Hold on a second. Was there an audio issue earlier, like during the last piece, or was it just like for like those 10 seconds? Just for those 10 seconds there was an audio issue, right? Yeah, because I turned on my own stream, and then it flipped over to okay, that's okay. That happens. Okay, anyways. As you guys can see, I was definitely doing some research here. Okay, so now we are good, right? I think we should be good on the audio issues. No? Yeah, we should be good on the audio issues. Okay. Sorry, I have multiple tabs open, and I just should have had a better setup, but that's okay. Okay, cool. So I wanted to start off by kind of I wanted to continue this first hour, or this to the second hour of our discussion, by going over my experience as an Asian American. Okay. And so first of all, let me take a huge swig of water. Okay. Yeah, I have a gigantic bottle. Okay, so thank you for redeeming the hydrating thing after I've drinking already. Okay, so I want to start off by talking about my experience as an Asian American, right? So I was born in China. I moved to United States when I was 5. Okay. And so obviously by myself, I was plane hopping as a baby, just going up to the planes and walking on without any ID or anything, just like, hey guys, I need to get to America ASAP. And so for the first few years, I joined like this language assistance program. And so, to learn English and stuff. And then, so by 3rd, 4th grade, I learned how to speak English super well. And looking back, right, I actually had like a pretty good experience in elementary school and middle school, because we did have quite a lot of Asians in my school. So like the teachers, okay, in elementary school, not so much, but then starting with middle school, the teachers and everyone, like there was like at least, I would say 15 to 20% Asians in my schools. So that's actually a good proportion, at least compared to like, 0. And so I didn't face too much racism, actually. Although there was a little bit, but not like overt, it was more like implicit racism. It was more like, okay, you're Asian, so you're probably not good at sports, or okay, you're Asian, so you probably do not I don't know, you probably don't want to talk to us, so we don't want to talk to you either. And then so basically, there's these cliques that form in high school, as you guys know, where like all of the minorities kind of like just hang out with each other, right? And then all of the people hang out with their own race. That's the point, okay? Even though sometimes you mix, but there's just not as much commonality. It wasn't until college when I moved to New York, and then I started encountering like some racist incidents, right? I would walk down the street and someone would just be like, ching chong at me, and I wouldn't even be able to respond, because I would be walking and they would just call it out while they walk, and then they would just be like, like 2 blocks down by the time I turn around. And then so that obviously made it so that it was just like a drive-by attack. Another time I was walking by myself, and then there was this group of people, like 3 girls and 1 guy, like really trashy looking, and then the guy called me the word chink, right? Chink, you guys know, it's like a derogatory term for a Chinese person. And then I was like, are you serious? Like, this is 2000, I forgot what year it was. It was like 2017, 2018. I was like, did you really just call me that? And then they just started laughing, and then they walked away. So those were like 2 incidents that I could remember. I think there should probably be more, but I don't remember all of them. And so in 12 years of living in New York, actually, those were probably the worst racism I encountered. So you guys were wondering, like, why am I like so passionate about this subject if I haven't encountered it that much myself? Because I have to be truthful, right? Like, I can't just make up stuff and be like, hey guys, I'm supporting this stream because one time like this group of guys beat me up for being Chinese, right? That wouldn't be right. But the thing is, even though I haven't experienced much racism myself, I have seen other Asians who have. I've met other Asians and I've talked to them. Some Chinese people tell me that they go to a restaurant or they go to a store, and then someone yells at them to go back to their country, right? I feel like that could happen to any minority, not just Asians, right? And then, of course, there's these news stories that talk about how these Chinese and Asian people are getting attacked. So I just want to quickly point you guys out to one of these that came up just the other day, March 12th, which was 2 days ago. Asian mom gets spit on 3 times by holding her baby in Queens, right? And Queens, if you guys don't know, in New York is like full of Asians. It's got like at least 500,000 Chinese people living there. So the fact that this happened there is so ironic, because whoever the guy is, like, 200 pounds and 5 feet 5 inches, like he's definitely like the lowest of the low, you know. Especially to be yelling that at a mother and her baby, right? So that's just one example of a racist incident. And then another incident that I think definitely is probably a racist one as well is this one. This gentleman, he's a Chinese guy. He was in Brooklyn, New York, and then he was with his grandparents. And what happened was there was this guy who, they were in a subway train station. It's underground, right? And then he's with his grandparents. And then I guess they're like waiting for the train. So some guy, you're not supposed to smoke in the train stations, obviously, right? So the guy's smoking in the train station. And then this guy, he's standing, I mean, I assume he doesn't have too much space to move around. So he goes to talk to the guy, say like, hey, can you put out the cigarette? And then he got attacked. And then his grandfather tried to intervene and also got attacked. And then his grandmother tried to help, but then she got thrown onto the tracks. So I don't know how that happened, but basically the guy, like this guy is crazy. Like, you know, this guy clearly, you know, just had no sense of human decency, right? Absolutely zero sense of decency. And attacking the elderly, I think is just so wrong, you know? So literally, and then I'm pretty sure that was like a incident of racism, because usually, like, you know, usually you would not behave like that, I feel like, to like someone of your own race, you know? So I think it was a racist incident. I mean, you don't have proof, right? A lot of these instances, you get attacked, people get attacked, but you can't prove that it was a hate crime. But anyways, this is just the kind of thing that happens, you know, in our world. Actually, I was on Instagram like a few months ago, and I saw like basically like this Asian girl was just waiting for the train, and then like some kids, some like I think like teenagers, just come out and just kick her in the face. Like, it was the most upsetting thing at the time for me, you know. And I honestly, I should have said something then on social media, but you know, but being like a Asian American musician, right, there's always that like feeling like, oh, like should I say something, or should I just like, you know, not say something, right? So at that time I should have already said something, but now people are really speaking out, and I have to join, you know. I have an obligation to do so, and I have to talk about how, you know, how these Asians are just being attacked, right? So let me just stretch this out a little bit. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I know I'm talking a lot. So, but I think a lot of these issues stem from like, you know, the Asians themselves not being able to defend. They can't defend themselves. They cannot talk, speak properly English, and then the attackers, you know, whatever race the attackers are, and I don't think they're necessarily white, you know. I think, you know, minority on minority racism is actually even worse than white on any kind of minority racism. I'll be honest. I think, you know, obviously white racism gets talked about a lot because it's, you know, it's America or Europe or whatever. But I think minority on minority, like Hispanics, Black, and also Asians, like there's a lot of tension, racial tension. Okay. And so I know that like my parents, they had to encounter the worst of the racism actually when they came to the United States, because they didn't speak any English and they had to learn, and then they had to fit in and, you know, really work hard to establish themselves in the United States. And then my sister and I, basically, once we came, we got a US citizenship, right? Because of my parents. And then we got to speak English, we learned how to speak English very quickly, so we became super westernized, and then we just started fitting in. Not super well. I wouldn't say like 100% obviously, but I would say at least 80% compared to my parents who started from 0%. So this kind of fitting in really helped shelter me from a lot of the racist incidents, because I could just become part of the culture. It was definitely hard for my father as well, because it's usually harder for guys. That's not a sexist thing. That's just a trend that I've noticed, that it's usually harder for Asian men to learn the local culture and stuff than it is for Asian women. Okay. And then speaking English was always difficult for him. And so this is why like this whole, Stop Asian Hate thing kind of resonated with me, because I thought about my dad and I thought about how much he had to go through, to when he moved here. And as an immigrant, because you really lose a lot of opportunities, right? If you don't have like connections in the society and you can't get a job and you have to, usually Asian guys, they start their own business, like the convenience store, are always owned by like some elderly Asian guy, right? Or the gas station or the local subway. I think like Indians are really known for like Dunkin' Donuts. If you guys know that stereotype, then you are definitely well versed in American culture, which is like a lot of Dunkin' Donuts are owned by Indians. But anyways, the point is to say like, you kind of have to make your own path. Like you can't just go work in an office because you have so much barriers. So I think that's why I'm saying like real racism, I think, is very subtle. It's underneath the skin. It's not outwards, like calling someone Chinese, Chinese pig, or saying like, Asian flu, right? Or go back to Asia, go back to China. Things like that are like overt, and the only people who do that are like the most low level like scum of society, right? But I feel like that is not so interesting to talk about because it's very one-dimensional. Like obviously they're bad, but what is not one-dimensional, I think, is like the whole implicit racism thing, which still exists in America and also I'm sure in any Western country, where Asians as a minority group are generally have to face some challenges that other minority groups do not. One example is that so we know that Asians tend to score better on the SATs, which is a standardized test. You have to take it to go to college, and so if you take the SAT and you're Asian and you get a really good score, like let's say, I don't know, the max score is 1600 nowadays, right? So if you get a 1500 something, you might not get into like Harvard or MIT, which is the best school, which are like the best schools. But then different minority, I won't name any other minorities, but different minority will get in if they get a 1500. That's for sure. They will get into Harvard or MIT, but not as an Asian. You kind of have to have at least 1580 or above to get into Harvard or MIT. Unless you like really crazy extracurriculars. But the point is, it's harder, and affirmative action definitely works against Asians, right? Even though most Asians do lean Democrat, but or liberal, affirmative action is definitely penalizes Asians for just being able to take the test better. And then I think, real racism kind of starts with, Asians not quite participating in their communities, whether it's their schools or their local, fundraisers, the local neighborhood events, right? Asians keep to themselves, you know. A lot of that comes to, you know, language barriers and stuff. But then that just creates this divide. There's this huge divide between Asians and the rest of the society. And then that divide just like kind of propagates on itself, becomes worse, and then becomes a situation where then the Asians feel like, you know, they can't speak out whenever there's something wrong, and then, you know, leading to these kind of attacks, I think. So I think these attacks are the tip of the iceberg, whereas the true things that need to be fixed are the Asians, like, participation and their treatment in society in like these larger institutions like the universities. Okay, so yeah. I mean, so yeah, I mean, okay, we'll talk about, like, you know, minority, because I'm not saying that Asians are, you know, super innocent. So like Asians are actually quite racist against other minorities as well, you know. And so probably in China there's a lot of racism going on against anyone who's not Chinese, right? So that's why I think this is definitely a topic that, you know, that is bigger than what I can just focus on in this stream. So we're gonna focus on Asian American, or, you know, Asians in Europe and stuff. Okay. Because that's the kind of racism that I understand, that I've dealt with, that I know about. Okay. Okay. So I think, you know, I think I've spoken a lot. So I think I've spoken a lot. I mean, I did have a lot of things written, but I'm like, should I talk about all of them? Because honestly, I think that's good for me expressing like my experience with racism, which, you know, all things considered is pretty benign. But as I explained, it's mainly because my parents, they took the brunt of the racism. They dealt with the most racism, you know? And then, you know, in the future, I think, you know, the next generations will have even less racism to deal with than my generation. Okay. All right. So let's actually focus on what some people. I actually want to read some statements from the audience. Okay. And so one of the statements I want to read is from Steven, who actually suggested the stream in the first place. So let's see here. We just pull it up. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so here is the statement from Steven and Kevin. Okay, is that it's, and I'll just read it. Okay, so it's pretty painful to live in America. Our society is racially segregated. As an Asian American, we face constant prejudice. Okay, I was never, so growing up, and this actually I agree with a lot. So Steven says, growing up, I was told that we should never attempt to stop problems, and we should try to walk away when we find ourselves in a problem. That we should not speak up and use our voices to talk about what is right, or to fight for our own interests. And then that leads to the result that many people are just not aware of our problems. Like they just don't even know that we have any issues, right? So like, especially in politics and in legislation, a lot of times Asians get overlooked. Okay, and that's a fact. As a voting bloc, I mean, it's probably like, you know, Asians, they don't vote that much either, but they're just ignored, so that leads to a lot of issues. So Stop Asian Hate is a growing movement. So we do want to get rid of, racism against Asian Americans. We must not remain silent. We must not allow this to occur anymore. Okay. So I totally agree with this. People have kicked Asians. They have struck them. They have injured them. And they've, in some cases even killed them. And this causes this basically makes the community and other communities really, really conflicted. Some of these people died, as a result of their injuries. So I believe that we must band together and fight for justice. So the COVID, so you guys know, okay, so I'm sorry, I'm reading the chat a little bit. Can we just stop all discussion about the CCP? Let's get rid of all discussion about the CCP now, because I want to focus on this this topic about Asian Americans in America and in Europe. Okay. So the donation link is if you go to the Twitch, right? And you just go here, if you scroll down from the stream, and if you just scroll down, you can see there's a bunch of donate to Stop Asian Hate. And then any of these images will take you to the tipping page, where once you tip, I will collect it, of course. I'm handing out the basket today, like they do in churches. They just hand out the basket, and then they okay, so I think I can paste the link here, because I don't know about mobile. I don't use mobile that often, but anyways, if you just use that link, it'll take you to the page. Okay, so let me continue reading Stephen's statement, and then we can talk about it. Okay, so today we remember Visha Ratanapakdi, who lost his life. He was a 84-year-old Thai man. He was just walking along his morning walk, and then he was attacked. I think he was shoved over or something. Okay, actually, let me just look it up real quick to get the full details. Fatally assaulted in San Francisco. He was shoved to the ground, and then he never regained consciousness. He got brain hemorrhaging. So, so obviously news, the thing about these hate crimes is that, you don't know if it was a hate crime, right? But, well, unless, the guy specifically yells out, go back to China or go back to Thailand, right? But the fact that they're being attacked is definitely horrifying. It's horrible, and it's a part of a larger chain of these Asians being attacked. So he was just minding his own business, and so we want to remember him. Okay, so here are some more examples that Stephen said. Asians have been punched, taunted, accused of spreading coronavirus. 2 women attacked Chinese students, yelling at them to go back to China. 2 men attacked Chinese American in Spain and beat him so badly that he was in a coma. So there's this perception that Chinese people are carrying the disease, which is ridiculous, because China actually has one of the lower or Asian countries have one of the lower infection rates compared to other countries now. But there's still that prejudice. And so, migrant workers were subject to medical experiences. Okay. So, and then Stephen continues on to talk about how some people are assaulted because the men, they lost their jobs, and then they blamed it on Asians. So they just attacked an Asian. Right? So that's obviously, cruel and brutal and wrong. So Asian hate has been around for a lot of years, actually. And I think that's true. So that's why we're speaking out. I think myself, other Asians around the community, and other Asian celebrities, people with much bigger followings than myself, of course, they have to speak out. They're all speaking out about this. It's getting ridiculous, and the virus, there's every few years there's a virus that comes out. There's a new virus. It just so happened that this one, COVID, was the worst, and it came from China. To blame a whole population based on this coincidence is wrong. Okay, and I'm sure no one's going to disagree with me on that. And I think the people who are primarily doing these attacks are low educated people, So yeah, Stop Asian Hate 2021. We're all Americans. We're Asian, and let's not, let's fight against this, right? Okay, so that was Steven's statement. Thank you, Steven. And so yeah, if people in chat, if you guys want to share about your experiences, we can talk about it. If you've dealt with racism yourself. And so I did get a few more responses from my Discord community, which a lot of you are part of. And I didn't really, blast it out to everyone. So I'm just going to read a few of these responses. Let's see here. So this guy's message is a bit long. Yeah, so he hasn't had that much racism in Canada. So I don't know about Canada, actually. I don't know if Canada has more or less racist incidents than America. And I don't know about Europe either, because, my scope of understanding is really limited to America, and I find that's actually a really curious thing, is that I have an international audience, right? A lot of my viewers are from other countries, but then my consumption of media makes it so that I only see the incidents that are happening in America, in New York or San Francisco or wherever. So for me, it's like this. It's I feel like I should know more about the other countries, but then again, I also feel like I don't have time to know everything that's going on in every world, in every country. Let me read about this. Thank you, Ian, for saying that I do want to, how Asian Americans, thank you, Ian, for that message about the whole I think this is something that is really meaningful to me. It's something that I don't speak out that much, as you guys know. I'm usually goofy, joking around on stream, talking about making jokes, making sometimes inappropriate jokes, but always lighthearted, right? But this time it's a pretty serious topic, and I think it's important to talk about, because if I don't talk about it, then no one will, or surely no non-Asians will talk about it, so it's up to us Asians, especially us Asians who are on social media, who have whatever amount of followers, to talk about it and to raise awareness about this issue. So thank you for that comment. Let's see here. Yeah, Mandigo says, I feel like a lot of people see Asians as an easy target because, yeah, they're overshadowed by groups like Black Lives Matter, right? So Black Lives Matter is like hilarious. Sorry. I just read this comment and I said hilarious because this guy said, "Go back to where you came from, dog eater." That's hilarious. Let me not Black Lives Matter is hilarious. So I hope you guys don't think I said that. But that guy's comment was hilarious. In terms of Black Lives Matter, I think it's it's in our conscious because the black population, they talk about it, they raised their voice about it. And when it blew up last year, I posted messages of solidarity about it in my Discord, but now it's Asians' turn, right? Now it's the Asian turn to speak out about this whole issue. I come from Florida. I mean, the thing about dog eating, like, I can just laugh because I'm not even offended because I mean, I should be, but I mean, it's hard to get offended at such stupidity. When someone is so stupid, it's just not possible. I don't quite feel like I should take it seriously. So let's go ahead and continue reading. So this person from Discord says, he's been called a cracker, which I think so that means he's white because cracker is a derogatory term. Sorry if I offended anyone. Okay, someone needs to. Do I have any moderators in the chat to tell the short song guy to just go away? Please go away. Okay, so and white people, they face racism too, and in fact it's kind of this, we have to be real here, right? So in China, in Asia, we actually have a term for white people. It's called 老外, right? And it just means I'll type it up here. Hold on a second. Can I even type Chinese here? Okay, so right, there we go. It's called 老外. There we go. All right. So this is a term that Chinese people use for white people, right? And it is it's not like really used in a derogatory way. It's just like something that you say when you're like with other Chinese people and you're just like, instead of saying Baizen, which is right, Baizen is, wait, hold on, why is this not working? Sorry guys. There we go. Baizen, which means white people, right? 老外 is like outsider, like old outsider. So I don't think that's good, but I don't think people use it in a negative way. I don't think people use it in a negative way, Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know how to. Okay, so moderators, I'm counting on you guys to to take care of people who are being idiots, okay? Okay, so this guy says, my family has been told that someone said they would rather kill themselves. Oh. Instead of being white, And then so people get scared of him because he's Irish and he has red hair. So that's really interesting. I think there is some racism against against redheaded people. I guess. So I think that is a thing in white cultures, is that like redheads get blamed for a lot of things. Just like, you know, obviously the Jewish population as well has suffered much racism over the thousands of years. So yeah, I agree with this. Please, world, like, let's stop racism and let's stop judging people on their race. You know, that goes for everyone, not just Asians, right? But Black people, right? Hispanics and white people. Everyone needs to stop being racist. And and of course, you can't just turn off the switch, right? It's not a switch that you can turn off. I wish it was, but it's not. It's kind of ingrained in the way humans evolved as just being really afraid of anyone who doesn't look like them, right? It's like you just threatened by someone who doesn't look like you, and then over thousands of years, it leads to the result. Yeah, so I'm gonna read the chat a little bit. Parody is only effective when it's done with enough nuance. Yeah, that's an interesting statement, Ethan. Racism comes from like upbringing, right? Upbringing, I think, affects a lot of makes people racist, because if you don't get raised correctly, right? If your parents don't instill you in the sense of like treating everyone fairly, treating everyone equally, then you might start being racist. And I think that's just really unfortunate. It's a really unfortunate side effect of, of living in a diverse world where not everyone has the ability to educate their kids properly, but then also a lot of people themselves are racist. So their kids, they look at their families doing racist things and then they just follow. They just think that it's okay to do it for their whole life, Yeah, a lot of these groups. Oh, by the way, thank you to Levi for the $10 donation. Just to remind you guys that we are accepting donations. If you scroll down to the bottom of the chat, next to the stream, you will see a bunch of images where you can just click on it and donate. And then the link, of course, is here. So the goal is to contribute to, well, in our case today, we are contributing to the Asian American cause. Okay. I'm as an Asian myself, like, I feel like as a minority, like, you should speak out, right? If your particular group is facing some attack. Okay. Thank you. Thank you guys for your support in the chat, really. Okay, so let me just continue reading another statement if there is any more that I feel like is worthy of reading. Okay, so this guy talks about how, his neighborhood had a lot of incidents where people in public places were discriminated against, and there was protests, and yeah, people getting attacked and even killed. So I think, I think minorities of all kinds deal with racism, right? And like, that goes without saying, and so I feel like, why does, first of all, as I said earlier, like direct racist attacks are so stupid. Like to do something like that, it doesn't benefit you at all, right? To attack one member of another minority group, and if you get caught, you face extreme consequences, right? Because hate crime is punished much more severely than just mere verbal assault, or or even physical assault. I don't know. Like I feel like, obviously I've never done I've never ever done any of that. And so, as an Asian, like, all right, let me ask you guys in the chat. Have you ever considered doing something racist? And you can be honest. I mean, there's like mild racism. There's like, okay, I don't like white restaurants because I think their cooking sucks, right? A lot of Asians are like that. They're like, oh, white restaurants suck because their food is boring, which I think is really arrogant as well, because I personally love eating burgers and steak and pizza. I'm a pig. I love all food, actually. I love eating a crap ton of food. So white restaurants are are awesome, but there's still that element of racism. But the thing is, like, that's like racism that people talk about and they're just like, oh, all right, it's not that bad. Racism is not that bad. It's just people being racist about like what kind of food they like. But that's not. I think that kind of like avoids the conversation, So to truly have a conversation, you have to be truly honest. I'll say if I say something like truly honest, I think I might get canceled. But like, I feel like anyone who like speaks out, right, has a chance of getting canceled, has a chance of getting getting people offended. Peeko Bear, thank you so much for the donation, for the $10. That's really appreciated. So let's see, let me read some of this. White people are called mayos. Mayonnaise, like mayonnaise. Okay, that's so bad, but that's kind of funny. Just like, okay, actually, it's just a random side thing, but like, I'm actually called a banana by other Asians because I look Asian, but so yellow, but then on the inside, I'm like super westernized, so I'm like white on the inside, So that's a banana, apparently. Let's see. Ethan says he had a class with a Chinese American composer, and then she prepared a piece in homage to his work, but then he asked Pierre Boulez, who I assume is a famous, I am not well versed in this, but Pierre Boulez, which I assume is a famous guy, French guy, who said, are you betraying your culture? I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting to me that this guy would say that to a Chinese girl, Oh, he's a great conductor. Yeah. So so I think it's really important to moderate yourself. I agree. Like, you have to because everyone has racist thoughts. Okay, like you can't. Like I don't want anyone here pretending that they're some kind of angel walking around. It's like, oh, I'm so pure. I have never had a racist thought in my entire life. Like if you say that, you are completely full of BS. But there's a thing about like saying something outright versus just thinking it, right? Thoughts come and go. Thoughts come because, the two halves of our brain, one half is the evil half and one half is the good half. All right. So your evil half of the brain is always going to give you a lot of the evil thoughts. Okay. And so racist thoughts will come up in your head. So the key to being a good human, I don't want to give life advice, but I feel like this is obvious, so this is not life advice. It's just like you have to just hold your tongue, hold your tongue. Like there's nothing else to do. You can't purify yourself by like, meditating or praying 56 hours a day. You will still have those wrong thoughts that come up all the time because you're human, Let's see what people are saying. There, Lionel goes with the left brain and the right brain. Yeah. Oh God. Don't get me started, Ethan. Don't get me started. I could literally spend 5 hours talking about it and you guys will never ever hear the end of it from me. So I won't go there. All right, Frederick, I feel like that's not quite right, but I'm just not going to say anything. One half of the proton. All right, that's a weird science analogy. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, I think everyone's kind of racist in some way, right? So like doing an overt racism. So I think what people have real issues with is like overt racism. So being kicked because you're Asian or being discriminated against by the police if you're black, that's something that is so wrong that you have to just speak out against it right away. But then there is also things like covert racism, which I think, so this kind of gets to the last part of what I had planned to talk about. Oh, Apple Pay. Sorry if you're, I think we're only accepting PayPal and we're accepting credit card for today's donations. So just to remind you guys one more time that, you can click here on the Twitch to any of these pages, which will take you to the tipping page, and you can contribute to the cause. Okay. So what I wanted to talk about is, as Asians, we do face overt racism. Like the whole Stop Asian Hate came from overt racism. People yelling, punching Asians, attacking Asians. But we also face a lot of implicit racism, such as affirmative action. There's lack of representation in the Western media, like in entertainment, in movies and stuff. Like there's not many Asians who ever get any important movie roles, right? And then there's like politics, even like politics. A lot of legislation just ignores Asians, right? There's so much legislation that goes out that just disregards the whole Asian voting bloc. So I believe that, Asians need to be more outspoken. We need to just talk about what's going on in our communities, and we need to definitely make noise about these kind of ridiculous Chinese virus attacks, Asian virus, Kung Flu, whatever you want to call it. Actually, I think Kung Flu is pretty funny, but it's bad. Okay, there was actually this viola joke that I read today that was hilarious, and I laughed for like 5 minutes straight. But let's not hate on violas today. Actually, I think violas. I'm starting to change my perspective on violas. Okay, not gonna get off topic. One trend that makes me happy is that I see more Asians in entertainment, like the movie Crazy Rich Asians. There's a bunch of other Asians. There's a bunch of other Asian movies that have made it to the public Western media. And of course, you know, K-pop, which I know we got a lot of haters, K-pop haters in the chat, but K-pop is, in my opinion, doing more for Asian image and Asian community than all of the, I hate to say it, but the K-pop is doing more for the Asian community than like 90% of the other efforts that Asians are doing, you know, because I think K-pop like really has transformed the way that Asians are perceived in media, and at least for implicit racism, not for explicit, you know. All right, can someone please mute George Son? Like, just mute him. Period. Because that's showing up in my chat now. And I don't know why I don't have the muting function here. Can I do that? Let's see here. Ian says he's the only European. Okay, so unfortunately, I don't know how to mute people. I don't know how to, here we go. We'll just do it. We'll just do it. Congratulations, George Song. You get special treatment. I will figure out how to, gosh, I've never done this before. I've never actually, oh, there we go. Ban usernames. This is easy. This is super easy. Okay, thank you, Bit. I was gonna try to do it myself, but then I was like, I don't even know how to do it. Bit loves swinging the ban hammer. Favorite action. Okay, so no wonder there's many racist people in America who are taught that Native Americans were savages. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Let me finish reading Ian's comment. Yeah, I mean, in America, there's definitely a lot of people who have like these outdated thoughts, right? With like Asians, like, you know, one example is like Asians are good at math, or Asians are, I don't know, nerdy, which, you know, that stems a lot from the cultural barriers, you know, like if you come to America and you don't have the ability to communicate, you know, but you can, like, you know, solve math problems, then you can get a job still as a scientist or a mathematician. And then, so then the stereotypes like, oh, all Asians are good at math. It's like, that's not necessarily true, you know? You know, it's just that that's the only thing they can do to fit in. They don't have any other choice but to do math or to be a doctor or a lawyer, you know? Because they can't be like, I don't know, a political organizer or like, I don't know, like a more sociable kind of function, like a manager at some company. There's a lot of, yeah. I mean, slavery was a big thing, you know, in history. So I feel like, you know, slavery and like those things are so bad that like the Holocaust, right, against the Jewish people, the genocides against Armenia, Uganda. I mean, if you want to look up genocides, like genocide by definition is a, you know, is killing a entire race of people, attacking an entire race of people. So that is the, I mean, that's the worst. That's, you can't even talk about it. I mean, you don't even need to talk about it because everyone knows it's bad. But I do agree that like the, you know, American education, they kind of like skip over the Asians, right? In their overview of, I mean, part of it is due to necessity, right? You don't have time to go over everyone in the world. But that's why we're doing the stream, you know? And so, yeah, so I agree with you, Mandico. So I believe that as an Asian musician, right, it's my job to express myself as much as I can. And I want to speak out against these Asian attacks. So this stream today, really, I think, you know, I'm doing the best I can, right? I mean, I could do more. I could probably spend like another 2 weeks, 3 weeks talking about this. I don't know. But I think, you know, this time, I think I did a good amount, you know, especially compared to other people who, not saying that people, you know, aren't doing enough, but I think I'm doing a good amount. I want to say also that, you know, I see a lot of Asians, like nowadays, they're leading companies, they're doing startups. And a lot of Asians are becoming like big streamers or YouTubers. Like, you know, the other day I asked in chat, of course, people were saying like two-step violin. There's a lot of famous Asians, ZHC, people who have like a lot of subscribers, you know. Crap, I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head. There's like the older YouTubers like Wang Fu and Michelle Fan, and then there's also in the music community, I think Two Set is my favorite. Like, they are awesome. They are doing so much for the Asian community, at least in the music world. You know, they are bringing to light a lot of these issues that Asians face, and they are talking about their histories, and they're just letting the audience connect to them, which I think is the most important thing that you can do. Because if you connect with someone on a human level, then you will ignore all the racist thoughts that come to your head, you know, that come at the shallow, like, what are my words that I'm using? You will ignore the shallow thoughts that come to your head when you first judge someone by their experience. Okay. Oh yeah, Ryan Higa from Niga Higa. I used to watch him a lot. Not so much anymore. There was Kev Jumba. I watched him a lot too, back in the day. But it's been like years. Yeah, those are the biggest Asian YouTubers I can think of. Oh, the Uncle Roger. That guy's my new favorite. I love that guy. That guy is he's doing a good job, you know. I think I support him, as well as Two Set. I support both of them so much. So yeah, so I guess my point, you know, I want to say, like, you know, I wanted to say to, you know, non-Asians, right, is that, okay, so actually, here we go. I had more points to talk about, like my dad, like the bamboo ceiling, but I'm not going to get into all that because, you know, we've already talked enough, and I want to get to the listening section soon. So to conclude, I think we can conclude the talking portion. It's been a long talking portion. To conclude, I can say that to all the Asians, I want to say it is a better time right now to be Asian than it was for the past 50 years, 100 years. Okay, it's better to be Asian now than it was for our parents, than it was for our grandparents, you know, who had to suffer so much racism. I'm talking about, you know, being Asian in a Western country, you know, but there's no better time to be Asian. So be proud of who you are. be outspoken and talk about your life. Just reveal yourself, reveal your problems, reveal your hopes and your dreams. And you will connect to people, because by doing so, by sharing your story, then the next generation, right, will have it easier. Just like my parents, they made it easier for my generation to become assimilated to American culture. So I have a duty, right? Me and all of you guys, all of the Asians here, we have a community, we have a duty to make it easier for the next generation, by speaking out. Okay, by not staying silent and being like, oh, it's okay that people are getting attacked, like, or, oh, I shouldn't say anything because I should just keep my head down and work, study, go back to studying. I don't know what kind of thoughts people have. You gotta speak out. Doesn't matter. Don't be afraid. You have nothing to be ashamed of by being Asian. And then to all the non-Asians. Okay, so this is to the non-Asians, right? Whether you're white, black, Hispanic, European. I want to say that there's a lot of benefits to learning more about Asian culture. Just because of the way the world is developing now. China is becoming the biggest economy in the world. It's growing at a literally insane rate. Some of the biggest online companies are Asian, like ByteDance, which owns TikTok, Tencent, which owns Riot Games, League of Legends. I assume Genshin Impact is made by a Chinese company. I don't know. I have not been following all the video games that are made by Chinese companies or not. But regardless, and then if you also go to Asian cities, right? If you go to Asian cities like Shanghai. So when I lived in New York, I went to Shanghai, and I mean, I'm actually from a city that's near Shanghai. I was born close to Shanghai, and then I went to Shanghai 5 years ago, and I thought I entered the alien world. Shanghai's insane compared to New York, at least in terms of the technology, maybe in terms of culture and food and stuff, they're not so advanced, but in terms of technology, it's just insane. The trains are super fast, always on time, super clean, and very modern. Everything is wireless. No one even uses cash anymore. You can order anything and it gets delivered within 24 hours. So in fact, the sellers, they will apologize to you if something takes longer than 24 hours to come to you, which is insane. Everyone's using the latest smartphones and stuff. So everyone is fully, not everyone, but a huge amount of people. So that was 5 years ago. And so I want to encourage the non-Asians to learn more about Asia, to learn an Asian language. If you're white, or if you're black, or if you're Hispanic and you know how to speak Chinese or Japanese or stuff, Asians will love you. You will literally be the hero. And I know that, from experience, I know that my family, whenever they meet whenever they meet a non-Asian who can speak Chinese, they just oh, it's wow, you're awesome, right? They love you, because it's very hard, first of all, but if you can do it, then you will have such a huge advantage no matter what you do in life. I mean, unless you decide to be a hermit living in the middle of the mountain, then that's different. Yeah, so learn English, learn an Asian language. It will help you. And then finally, for the people who are still being outwardly racist and yelling out China virus and Kung Flu, grow up. Seriously, grow up, stop being an uneducated idiot, and actually try to learn more so that you don't get destroyed by the economic and international trends of the next 20 years. Oh, Bit, did you donate to the... You had to donate to this, the tipping platform. I'm sorry if it's okay. I will count your donation in the total amount after the stream. Okay, so thank you for that. Why? All right, guys. I'm not about to become a gamer. As you guys saw from my Minecrafting, I suck. Okay, at gaming. Okay, so I think that concludes the speaking portion of the stream. Whew. So I mean, there is one game I'm good at, and that's League of Legends. So if I ever play that, you guys are gonna are gonna actually watch me do something fun. But yeah, let me not talk about that. Okay. All right. I don't want to, I feel like, I don't want to get distracted. So today we are now at hour number 3 of today's stream. And we are now at the point where I want to listen to some music with you guys, okay? So I do have to go to the bathroom first. So let me first all right, because I've already listened to this, I'm going to just play it. Where is my stream? By the way, I want to give a huge thanks to Winston for compiling a lot of this. He literally did so much work for writing these songs and helping me present them today. So thank you, Winston. But then I am missing the... Hold on a second. Pure Boulez. Where's my own playlist? Okay, there we go. Here we go. So the first one we'll listen to is this piece called Fisherman's Ballad. Okay, so it's a Chinese piece. I mean, it's a lot of work to prepare for the stream. We've spent the past 3 days preparing for this. Me and a couple of other Asians, or I think they're all Asian, in the community. So this first piece is called Fisherman's Ballad. Okay, and it is an impressionistic work with a lot of colors. So I'm gonna start playing it. Can you guys all hear it? Is it loud enough? Okay. Alright, I'm gonna start over because I really want everyone to enjoy it. I'm gonna turn off my mic as well, okay? Okay. I mean, I don't know if it's appropriate to like say let's applaud that because I feel like it was just a YouTube video, but I think that is like that's one of the best pieces I've heard, you know, from China. It's super flavorful. It's got like that, you know, right? It's got that whole like nice Asian pentatonic vibe. I don't know about the whole like netting girls. I don't even know what that means. I assume it means like you know you had to cast out the net and stuff. Exactly what that entails or what that goes into, I have no clue. But I think, you know, the piece itself, it's so romantic. It's got like the elements of you know, French Impressionism. There's like the whole tone, whole tone scale usage, right? I'm sure that the original composer had no innuendos in mind. You you people in the chat who clearly I won't say anymore. Okay, so the next piece we have, oh my god, I have so many tabs open. I'm like going crazy. The second piece we'll present is called Sights and Sounds by Bao Yuan Kai. So one of the things that I was one of the things that I was reading about is that actually, yeah, we're doing Bao Yuan Kai right now, right? Yeah. So one of the things that I was reading about is that like Chinese music is usually based on like folk music, you know. Folk Chinese music is like you've seen it at your local village, and then you've seen about like something that happens in your life, you know. So it's very relatable, right? Everyone in China can kind of relate to these stories. And there's example of like in northern Hebei in China, the local people, they work really hard. And so most of the folk songs are about working, you know. Whereas in the southern Yunnan province, the folk songs are more about love, and they're more written for dancing, desire for happiness, and for love. So I mean, I haven't been following chat very closely, so if anyone said anything that I need to read. So I mean, it's kind of like an interesting thing, like, you know, because like, you know, if you have like people in the north, I feel like are more, they have to, you know, deal with the harsher elements of life, right? Like the snow and stuff. And so I feel like their life is just a little bit darker, if that makes sense, than like people in the south who are like, you know, they have like a lot less elements of weather to deal with, at least. Okay, so here we go. Let's go ahead and listen to this song or this piece. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna skip to this one first. Winston is helping me. Okay, wow. That was really fun. I think it was just it was really cool. I mean, I enjoyed the last part a lot, but also the first part was very beautiful. You know, so yeah, definitely some claps for that. I definitely heard some pentatonic scales, obviously. I wasn't paying too much attention to the music theory, but no, that was really cool. Okay. Yeah, it's actually a really sad story. Basically, the girl, she was sold to other people without being asked by her mother. And then, like, look at this, like story. Like, it's basically she has to carry water and labor up the hillside, right? And then I have some words in mind. She runs into her mother-in-law and her husband. Just sounds very, I don't know, depressing. Very depressing life. And they have to fetch water back and forth 18 times. So can you imagine that? Like, you just spend your entire day going up and down the mountain to fetch water. Like, oh, and they had to bring it up, so they had to bring the water uphill. That's so crazy, right? I mean, as a modern society, like, we really have so many conveniences that we just take for granted. Like, just having running water is so insane of a advantage over the previous, history, when people had to get water from a well or fetch water. And so this guy, he actually wrote this in his freshman year of college. So, wow. I could not write that in my freshman year. I was writing, what was I writing? I was writing Gallup in my freshman year. Yeah, very nice. Okay, this guy, he has done some serious music theory analysis. So I'm not gonna read it and like present it as my own, like, oh hey guys, let's pay attention to the seventh chords with the added fourth in the melody and this variation. Oh yeah, guys, by the way, this is my dissertation from grad school. I went by the name Jazzy She, like when I was attending the conservatory music. Anyways, a lot of great stuff. I will post this link in the chat in case anyone wants to read it. Okay, cool. Let's continue to the next song. Peace. Okay, so the next piece. Okay, this is embarrassing, but like the only piece that we could find from traditional Japan was like the Sakura piece, the cherry blossoms piece, which I already played, but we're just gonna play again. Okay, so really characteristic, and I think it was worth playing again because when it sounds on the koto, right, which is the Japanese instrument that's used to make that melody, it sounds so much different than on the piano, you know, where it's kind of westernized almost. You know, the piano being a Western instrument, right? So you can definitely hear how that plucked sound actually is so uniquely, you know, Japanese. So I think that was really cool. And as we talked about earlier, like the Japanese, the Sakura, you know, which is a huge part of the Japanese cultures, the flower, right? Actually, another flower that I'm thinking about is the red spider lily, Lycoris radiata, which I don't think I need to talk about that. All right, cool. So let's move on to the next piece. It's called Kondo Ross by, let's see here, fourth melody, Condon Ross by Landrain Balabak. I totally just butchered that name, but that's what happens. So we're gonna go ahead and listen to this. This is gamelan. So gamelan is from Indonesia. Oh, Javanese. So basically, okay, let's not listen to the whole thing because it's over 7 minutes. But yeah, let's listen to a few minutes of this, and then maybe we can read the Wikipedia article together about the Javanese. Okay, so I think that was I think we got the point. Very I mean, I feel like I heard the minor, or I feel like that was like the the Phrygian scale, right? Dun, 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 dun. Just very dark, very, I don't know, it's got that eerie vibe to it, you know? And, you know, I was looking at these images of, like, you know, people basically, they're probably like sitting in some kind of temple, right? I don't know, I feel like you need to just like really be in the mood for it, like if you're like doing like a Buddhist monk prayer or something. Anyways, yeah, that's the Indonesian traditional kind of music. Okay, so the thing is like, yeah, the thing about these different, like really traditional Asian music is that like you have to wonder what were their inspirations, right? Like why did they write that kind of music? What were they trying to express? Okay. Here we go. Let's go ahead and listen to this next piece. It's called Contrabass Concerto, Wolf Totem. So I don't know where the wolf aspect comes in, but I think it should be fun to listen to this. And then we're going to start off at 518, which is the rhythmic part. Okay. Okay. Wow. That was very like it was like it reminded me of like a galloping plane, like a bunch of galloping horses on a plane, right? Fighting, going to war. And you know, that's where the whole like Mongolian the Mongolian inspiration comes in, you know, because the Mongols were like horseback riders, right? And so contrabass concerto. What is the contrabass? It's like a contrabass is like a it's like a okay, it's the biggest bass. Forgot about the biggest bass. And so yeah, so it's cool. Very cool. You have to, you know, I like the imagery that's like expressed, you know, a lot of these nature expressions that come out in these music. Okay. All right. Who thinks that I'm doing a okay, like, how am I doing in terms of like my descriptions? Because I feel like I should be doing a better job. Okay, so we have 2 more pieces. The next piece is called Gamban Suling, and it is another Indonesian or Javanese plane. So Javanese, if you guys don't know, is a people in the ethnic group in the Indonesian island of Java. Okay. And then let's just talk about this real quick. This is about all right, just know that it's a traditional song from Central Java. Okay. Gamban Suling. This is such a vibe. Okay, that was fun. That was fun. I love the rhythmic syncopation between the drums and the notes, and the instruments, right? And then the voice. I don't know what it means. I guess we could look it up. What is the Indonesian language? It's called like. Hold on a second. Let's just see. Can they detect the language? Indonesian. Oh, all right. That did not help. Anyways, yeah, that was very flavorful. I think. Okay. Oh, here we go. It's a song that comes from Central Java, and Java being an Indonesian territory, and the song has a meaning of expression of admiration for the flute instrument. The creator really loved the flute sound. I could hear like the flute like a little bit, but the flute was not the main star of the song, you know. But really cool. Yeah, that was definitely Indonesian or Javanese, whatever the what is the difference between Indonesian and Javanese? I'm learning along with you guys, okay? Because I'm just not familiar with Indonesia at all. Okay, it's like a language that is used in the rural parts of Indonesia. Okay. Not to be confused with Java, the programming language, or with Japanese language, or with JavaScript. In case any of you numbskulls are getting confused right now. Oh, Japanese. That must be like the older brother to JavaScript, right? Okay, anyways, we are now at the final piece today. So thank you guys for sticking with the stream for so long. I'm going to I'm just gonna plug the donations one more time, because you know, I do want to, let's try to get above 100. Yeah. Maybe $500 was a bit ambitious, but I feel like $100 is reasonable. So let's try to reach that. If you just, and we're so close. We're at 99.35. So I hope someone can help out. And of course, all the proceeds are going to a worthy cause of course, you know, making the world a better place for Asians, for Asian Americans. Okay, so okay, that was a big water chug. This last piece is called Arhuan, okay? And we have a quite extensive description from Winston about this. It's an expansive work. All right, let's just read it before we start. Wow, thank you, Peeko. Thank you for bringing us above 100. Yay! Everyone, give a clap for Peeko, because she is awesome. And let's face it, you know, this was probably the most meaningful stream I've done. You know, I cannot think of a more meaningful stream that I've done compared to this one. So yeah. And so, okay, so let's go ahead and listen to this, our Huan piece, which is the final piece. Oh. Oh yeah, thank you for sticking around if you have school tomorrow. But okay. Let me just actually, yeah, I'm just gonna start playing. All right, that was. I, I. Oh shoot. Yvez, did you just donate? Oh my god. Thank you, man. It's a lot. Everyone give claps to Yvez for being a big fat whale. Whale me if you guys don't know, means like someone who just like thick whale for yeah. Thank you for the donation, man. Really appreciate it. It's a cause that I really care about, and it's very important, you know, for me to do the stream on. Oh, what was the message that you did? Because I literally went to the restroom. Okay, so that was great. I mean, I know I didn't listen to the last bit of it, but that piece had a really epic moment, and I was reading what Winston wrote here about, you know, there's the influences of the Peking operas, Beijing operas, and French Impressionism style. So it's interesting that, you know, both this piece as well as the Fisherman's Ballad all have like impressionistic elements. That just speaks to the big influence of, you know, Western classical music on Asian classical music, on how these Asian composers try to combine Western styles with their Asian like roots, you know, Asian music theory roots. So, and you know, I think a lot of French Impressionism was actually also influenced by Asian melodies. So there's that cross-cultural communication going on, right? Am I wrong in saying that? If someone in the chat wants to provide more light, shine more light on the whole, you know, it's, you know, it's definitely the case where, I don't know, I love, like, I think that's worthy of listening to again, at least that part where it gets really, really big, really intense. And it's interesting that they combine the piano with like the Celeste, right? Wait. And the long string lines definitely have that feeling of like that lifting feeling, that yearning feeling. Yeah. Okay, so you know, that's the Lydian scale. That was a Lydian feeling, right? So it has that really bright tone and truly, truly phenomenal usage of the orchestra. Although I feel like he could I don't know. I feel like the mids were a little lacking in my taste. Like you had a lot of the highs and a lot of the lows, but then the mids did not feel as full as some of the other pieces. But still, really soaring melody, really epic harmonies, and a perfect end to the. Yeah, it was not thick enough. I do enjoy having having a thicker sound. Okay, I had to be careful about using that word, or else it will get taken out of context. And then people will make fun of me. But yeah, that was super nice. No, I'm not gonna do a 24-hour stream because I'm honestly really hungry, but I wanted to keep this stream focused on this cause. And you know, we had a quite extensive discussion, right? And oh boy, my camera is having issues again. Yeah, potentially I could do another stream after this. Okay, so hold on, let me just change the camera one more time so I can finish off with a closing statement. LOL. Yeah. Okay, so sorry, what was I going to do? Okay, so I was going to just give a final statement on this whole thing because, you know, today's stream was really special for me and for the community. I think, you know, we have a lot of Asians in our community, and so this is a rare chance for us to kind of come together and talk about a lot of these issues. So as you guys can see, I wrote like 11 pages of notes, well, myself and from Winston's help. And so we talked about a lot of things. And so I think, did we achieve the goal today of presenting music from these cultures as like a way to connect to each other and learn more about Asian music? Like, did we achieve that goal, or do you guys feel like we were missing something? Like, was I I mean, I know we didn't hit many. We totally missed the Indian block, but I feel like Bollywood films are like famous enough that you know, a lot of people know Bollywood music, so that's a good thing. I don't know. Maybe I should have talked more about music theory, but I feel like I tried to do music theory. Oh. yeah, I mean, yeah, I think, you know, what else could we talk about? We could talk about like the history behind the music. But we kind of did that. Like we talk about the folk songs of China and the cherry blossoms of Japan. Okay, we did not really get into Japanese or Korean culture that much, you know, because part of it is my fault. I'm not too knowledgeable about those things. Oh, the Mongolian throat sing. Sorry, that's not real throat singing. That's just me trying to be cool. But that is what it sounds like. And so, you know, you said it doesn't have to be music. Well, I mean, what else could we like do? What else we do? We had a discussion earlier, actually. So you missed that, Yvez. You missed the whole discussion about racism. We talked about my story. We talked about a lot of people's personal experience with racism from the community, you know? Okay, so one last time I have to plug the donations. You know, you guys don't donate anymore. Seriously. Thank you for that. And I think, you know, I think we definitely did a good job today of covering a lot of these various, what do you call, music from different societies and different cultures. And yeah, I think that, you know, the charity is a worthwhile one. I'll show you guys. You know, when we were doing research, we wanted to find like a good charity that's been around for a while. And let's see, this one, like it just looks like a legitimate charity. All right, Winston. Thanks for all your help. Seriously. And all, like, they provide like affordable apartments, so you know it's really important for people to have like affordable living, right? Because that way they can live, they can be sustainable, right? They can be their own persons. And then, you know, they also do small business loans, right? Helping people start their own business, right? Because, you know, as we talked about earlier, a lot of these Asians, they kind of have to do their own business because they cannot get like a job at like a regular company, you know? So they have no choice but to do their own business. So having that element really helps. And so, okay, it is based in New York, so it does help people in New York. But I do find that, like, you know, like a lot of these racist incidents are happening in New York and in San Francisco, where a lot of Asians are. And so I think, you know, that kind of local help is actually really valuable, you know, for people in New York City. But yeah, I don't know. There's also like the GoFundMe of like the Stop AAPI Hate, you know, GoFundMe. But, you know, I feel like we just have to be a little bit different, you know. GoFundMe, obviously, they have a lot of these donations. And yeah, they have like a whole community fund where they're like, you know, doing stuff about this. So I'm glad, you know. But I think Asian Americans for Equality is also a worthwhile organization to contribute to. Okay, I think sorry. Okay, so I was just looking at more of their information. Okay, so I think that's it for today's stream. I want to thank you guys so much for being part of it and for tuning in. Special thanks to all the donators who contributed to this cause, because it's definitely a cause worth supporting. And I hope that you guys got to experience a lot of different Asian cultures music today. And hopefully we can just not have like these racist incidents happen anymore. But I'm sure that they're still gonna happen, you know? So I don't know how to, like, I don't know what we can do to prevent these things from happening besides speaking out about them and like telling the world that it's not okay, you know, to especially just to go up to someone and just like, you know, to punish them basically for being Asian, you know? So yeah, no, I agree, Ian. Like there's a lot of things that we could do. We could all do something, you know, but I think these organizations are worthy if they have shown track records of constantly fighting for Asian, you know, civil rights, right? Because, you know, it's easy to say that you will do something and easy to speak out. Like, you know, it's so easy to be like, oh, hey, I support this. Like, oh, I support Black Lives Matter, you know, I'm going to donate some money. But like to actually do something about it is actually like these people's life work. You know, they spend decades constantly helping the community. And so I think that's a much more powerful thing than just saying, oh, I'm going to donate some money. Even though donations are great, you know, and, you know, even though you posting on social media, your support for some cause is great. But then there are people who are actually like, you know, spending years of their life, decades of their life fighting for a cause. And I think supporting them is probably the best way to do it. I mean, I know for myself, I'm a musician, right? And I can't spend all my time fighting for Asian American equality. Because, you know, it's already, it's a kind of like you have to like make sure that you yourself, like you can do, you can support yourself, right? And sustain yourself and sustain like the community around you before you can try to do things for like the larger population. But I think this stream, you know, we try to do that. We try to support the larger population of Asian Americans. Okay, cool. And so, by the way, just so you guys know, I decided already that whatever donations come in today, I'm gonna contribute the rest to reach the $500 goal. So we're gonna still be able to donate in total 1,000 to this cause. So thank you guys so much for all the contributions and for the support today for the stream. And I don't know when the next stream will be. I don't have one in mind right now, but we'll talk about it. We'll be on Discord and be in conversation about it later today. All right. We'll talk about it. Okay, guys. Much love. Thank you so much for tuning in. And thank you for supporting this cause, which is truly meaningful and valuable to me.